What's up, guys? Big Papa Drock back with another Raid Shadow Legends video. And yes, your eyes do not deceive you. It is clean-shaven Drock. For the first time in several years, I do not have a beard. You can thank the dermatologist for that because I had to go in to get some skin stuff looked at. And yeah, you know, we're I don't want to say baby smooth because we have a little bit of growth here, but yeah, we certainly don't have my trademark beard that I've had for quite some time. So it's going to have to grow back. It's a terrifying thing. I know, guys, you know, just bear with me as we get the beard back and enjoy the Drock baby face in the meantime. But this isn't a video about my beard or lack thereof. This is a video about Nell Blackteeth, guys. Yes, Nell Blackteeth, because people have been telling me, like, Drock, we need a test on Nell Blackteeth. I happen to have a copy of her, and they're like, we're hearing that maybe she's a little underrated. We're hearing maybe she's got a little more spice to her than we might have thought. And so I said, you know what? Why not do a video and see what we got? And so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to build Nell. We're going to test her. And we're going to see if she really is better than she appears to be. So get excited. But first, let's talk about Dark and Darker Mobile. Dark and Darker has been reimagined for mobile, making it more accessible and optimized for the platform, plus with a new third-person perspective experience. I want to give a huge thank you to Dark and Darker Mobile for sponsoring today's video, as well as to let you know about the download link in the description below. They are currently in the soft launch phase in the US and Canada, where you can start playing right away, and you can pre-register if you're in a territory outside of there. Dark and Darker combines two different genres, Battle Royale survival, along with dungeon crawling adventures, and offers incredibly challenging and fun melee combat that isn't typically seen in mobile games. There are multiple classes to choose from. I've gone with a barbarian, you can see here, but you have other options including rogues and rangers. But what can I say? I just like to get up close and personal with my enemies. And as you can see, I actually had some PvP battles right here where I absolutely dominated another player in real time. While crawling through dungeons, you'll have the opportunity to loot bodies and chests, fight bosses, claim rewards, and extract with all of your goodies while hopefully avoiding getting killed by other players out to collect your bounty. They have awesome new cosmetics, including the Ebb and Roar skin that actually progresses as you do, as well as a goblin costume and goblin cloak that can be unlocked through the season pass and the golden skin exchange. On top of that, they're offering a coupon code LOCKPICKEXPERT that you can enter in the game to get free rewards. So make sure to check out Dark and Darker Mobile today and use the download link in the description below. So Nell Blackteeth. Well, let's take a look here. She's got pretty awful reviews, not the worst that I've seen for a mythical. Certainly, there are definitely some that are worse out there, but not great either. She's definitely not well liked in the community currently, but a lot of people have been telling me that she is definitely better than, or should be better than people realize. So we're gonna take a look and see what we've got. Let's take a look at this first form here. The skills. So we've got an A1, attacks one enemy, steals 10% of the target's turn meter, steals an additional 5% turn meter for each debuff on the enemy, also has a 75% chance of placing a true fear debuff for one turn, and gets an ignore resistance, but interesting enough, only 15% as opposed to the normal 20% that most mythicals get. So it's interesting that she only gets a 15% ignore resistance on the A1. You know, stealing turn meter, great for everybody but Marius for the most part. There's some other champions, of course, that counter that. So you just got to be aware of who you're hitting when you're using this ability. And God knows I've messed up stuff like this many times hitting Marius. But okay, overall, not too bad. Let's take a look at the A2. Soporific Musk steals all buffs from all enemies, decreases each target's turn meter by 10%, decreases each target's turn meter by an additional 5% for each debuff on them, also instantly activates all poison debuffs on all enemies, then places a sleep debuff for one turn on all enemies without poison debuffs. So this is, you know, we're going to build her a couple ways here, but I'll just tell you up front, this is the ability that I have been told is underrated based off of her passive as well, which we'll look at in a moment. Now, interestingly enough, you don't get any ignore resistance here, and she is potentially placing sleep debuffs. So another aspect of her kit that's a little bit different than most mythicals that place debuffs is she's not getting ignore resistance here. Now, granted, she's not placing her poison debuffs off the skill. She's just activating them. But, you know, if someone doesn't have a poison debuff, landing that sleep, a little bit harder on this skill. And hey, stealing all buffs, you'd love to see her get some type of ignore resistance for that. And unfortunately, she doesn't. So kind of a, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not really sure what they were doing here, given that pretty much every other mythical, and I'm sure there's an exception I've forgotten, but most others that do these kind of things get ignore resistance built in if they don't have, you know, an irresistible ability from the get-go. So this is interesting. Interesting that they've kind of nerfed this a little bit. Or I don't want to say nerf, but not made her as strong as some of the other mythicals right off the rip. Let's take a look at the A3. Sickle of Corruption attacks all enemies, places a 60% decreased defense debuff and a 25% weaken debuff on all enemies for 2 turns, fills the turn meter of all allies by 20%. So she does have a full turn meter ability here, which is nice. There's no extra turn ability here. You're just decreasing target turn meter, but you do get the steal. So yeah, interesting, right? She's got a turn meter fill. She's got an AoE attack here, whereas this is just stealing without triggering any type of counterattack, any type of Taurus Marichka action there. Of course, would absolutely trigger Marius if you manage to steal turn meter on him, or try to, I should say. So yeah, so, you know, decreased defense, great. Weaken debuffs, great. Let's take a look at the passive, because this is the part of her kit that really has people talking, at least in the first form. Blackteeth's Buffet. What a great name for an ability, for a skill. Whenever an enemy receives a buff, is healed, or has their turn meter increased, places a 5% poison debuff on that enemy for 2 turns. Will ignore block debuffs buffs. Oh, here we go again with another champion that doesn't play by the rules. You know how I feel about this, but we'll get into it in a second. And then increases this champion's turn meter by 5% for each poison debuff placed by this skill. So this is really the part that sells her, because you have a possibility to cut in on champions like Galathier or any kind of speed booster, given that anytime someone receives a buff or is healed, her, you know, or has her turn meter increased, she's placing poisons and she's increasing her turn meter by 5% for each poison debuff placed. And again, you're ignoring block debuffs here. So there are a lot of champions you try to put them, like a Siegfried, for example, you put him in a Feral, it doesn't matter. She doesn't play by the rules. Now, I believe Stoneskin blocks all of this stuff regardless. So Stoneskin would be something I'm not 100% sure. I guess it depends on when the Stoneskin gets placed, whether her debuffs gets placed before the Stoneskin comes in. So we'll have to figure that out. But right, you know, the Stoneskin would obviously remove the poison debuffs one way or the other. The question is, would you get her turn meter increase from that? So, you know, basically the advantage of this is you can cut in. You can hypothetically steal buffs after you cut in, right? Decrease turn meter. And that's kind of the selling point of the first form of this champion, right? And this is what people have told me is pretty good. And this is why we're going to build her a couple different ways. We're going to build her for damage, because her second form is about damage, and we're going to build her for just support because of this first form. But let's take a look at the second form as well. By the way, this is easily one of the best looking champions in the entire game, in my opinion. Just ludicrously cool looking champion. She's got 4 arms. She's General Grievous, but not a Jedi / robot. And she's even got hooves, guys. I mean, she's got freaking hooves. Hooves. Wolves? Hooves. She just looks freaking sick. Okay, so let's take a look at her skills. She's attack based in this form. Her damage is based on attack. Belly Slash attacks one enemy 4 times. Each hit will ignore 30% of the target's defense. Each hit will also decrease the target's max HP by 25% of the damage inflicted. If the target is not a boss, also places a shield buff on this champion equal to 25% of the target's max HP. I mean, this sounds like a pretty awesome A1. Quad hitter means you can get around stuff like UDK. You're ignoring a bunch of defense with every single hit. You're also affecting people's max HP, which is never a bad thing in Arena, and can also reduce the damage of champions that are HP based that aren't named Taurus. And then on top of that, she's giving herself 25% of the target's max HP. So this is like kind of an HP based shredder. And the fact that she's shielding herself is kind of sick. So I'm really curious to see how this plays, this A1, whether there's actually some damage around it. The A2 attacks one enemy 2 times, deals 100% more damage to enemies under a stun, sleep, freeze, provoke, fear, true fear, or petrification debuff. If the target is killed, instantly activates the Feast of Terror, and you can book this up to an additional 40% damage, and it's on a 3-turn cooldown. Now, what strikes me as interesting is you don't see poison in here, right? you don't see like that she's dealing more damage to enemies under poison, which kind of, I mean, her kit is poison. So I'm really curious as to why they've chosen to pick only control debuffs as opposed to stuff that's easier to land, specifically her poison. To me, we'll see how this hits. And cool that it activates, you know, if you kill someone, you activate the A3, but why not poison debuff in here? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't really synergize with what her kit does. I guess she gets a True Fear on the A1 in the first form, right? But there's no other major debuff that's control based, right? Just decrease defense and weaken. Really strange that they've gone this route. We'll see how it hits, you know, but also in Arena, tough to get these things down, of course, because of things like Stone Skin, also Wand. I mean, like the RNG level associated with trying to land this stuff is really out of control now. So we'll see what we can do here. Let's take a look at the A3. Feast of Terror attacks all enemies, places a True Fear debuff for 2 turns. Okay, here we go. Here's where it makes sense. This debuff cannot be resisted or blocked by enemies with 50% HP or less. So I guess what they're setting you up for here is you lead with the A3 to potentially get the True Fear on, and then you roll into this afterwards. So that makes a little more sense. This is why you read the whole kit, right? 4-turn cooldown here. Again, increased damage. There's no cooldown reduction on any of these books, which is great. So you don't have to book her as much necessarily, but we'll see how hard she hits. You know, biggest thing with True Fear is can you land it? Can you make sure that the other champions that you're facing don't have Stone Skin so they resist it, or, you know, or block it, I should say, or don't have block debuffs, because unlike the poison, these can be blocked. And the other thing is, this one doesn't require any type of, it looks like, accuracy, but they have to be below 50% HP. Can't be blocked. Okay, interesting. Does this again refer to block debuffs? This is where it's just, you never really know with the skill descriptions, right? I would assume that Stone Skin still blocks this, even though this says cannot be resisted or blocked, because other champions like Quintus have the same wording and Stone Skin still blocks, right? So this is always the fun with Plarium skill descriptions, is you really don't know what it does until you test it a million different ways and try to figure it out and just blindly try to see what happens. And again, it's only if they're less than 50% HP. You know, you're hitting them first, it looks like, and then you're placing it afterwards. So if she does enough damage, maybe she's getting them to 50% HP or less. But the other thing that has to be talked about here is, I mean, she is a polymorph magnet. Polymorph magnet, guys. And I think that's part of why she's maybe rated so low in the ratings and the reviews, because there's so many parts of her kit that are just going to get you absolutely just sheeped or wanded, one way or the other, with True Fear coming back to you or other stuff like that. So I think that's a big thing to look out for, and it's part of how I've built her as well. Take a look at the passive. This is an interesting one. Reminds me a little bit of Nice, but not as good. Whenever this champion kills an enemy using an active skill, grants this champion an extra turn. That's pretty sick. Each debuff placed by this champion in either form increases this champion's HP, attack, and defense by 2%, stacking up to 50%, and speed by 2, stacking up to 50 in their alternate form. I mean, look, that's a sick passive. That is a pretty sick passive, right? Get a 50% increase to your attack, defense, and HP, and a potential 50 increase to your speed. Really, really, really good. And the fact that you get an extra turn if you kill someone, as long as it's a skill, is pretty awesome. Now, if you look at how that compares to the god, Nice is getting an extra 15% to basically everything. HP, defense, speed, resistance, accuracy. He doesn't get it to attack because in this form, he's HP based. And then he also gets the ally revive if he kills someone. But this also stacks up to 100%, where she's limited to 50. So, she gets the extra turn, right? But he gets the chance to revive, and he gets up to 100%, which is what makes him so basically impossible to kill in this form, which is a huge difference. Honestly, I think his passive is probably a little bit better because you're not capped nearly as much. And again, anytime you're reviving someone, that's massively powerful. But we'll see. Getting an extra turn, not a bad thing if he kills somebody. So really interesting kit on Nell. Really interesting. Like, looking at the kit, it doesn't sound bad. So I'm really surprised to see her have such awful reviews. I have to think she just doesn't do great damage, or people just get frustrated by how often she gets polymorphed. So let's take a look at how we have her built, as well as the masteries on her. I don't need to even type her. She's literally right there. Let's take a look here. I've got her with the relic. We have a Wanda submission on her. This is, I think, essentially a requirement for Nell, because you want to, you want to make sure that she is not the one getting sheeped or reflecting the true fear or whatever else. Like, I feel like you have to have a Wanda submission on this champion if you want to use her in arena, at least now. That might change as more and more Lightning Cage makes its way in, as champions like Empress affect the Stone Skin meta. But for now, I think Wanda submission. You could also argue potentially in the future something like Orb of Transfixion to help with stealing those buffs on that A2 in the first form. Maybe you could do something like a Molten Death Bell and really, lean into her turn meter increase here when she's placing True Fears. But I think realistically, she's more of a poisoner in this first form. I think this is probably the best. Wanda submission is probably the way to go. It just seems like that kind of makes the most sense. Trying to think if there's anything else that you could use here. I don't know. I think that's the best one. I think that's the way to go. Yep, I'm going to say Wanda submission. Wanda submission. We're rolling with that. Let's take a look at her blessing. I do have her in lethal dose, and I think this is the blessing that makes the most sense for her, because you're trying to get those poison debuffs out, and that's, in that first form. And if you can get them out and get them through stuff like Galathier, I've seen these things do absolutely disgusting damage on people. And the fact that they go through block debuffs is massive. So upping that poison debuff damage, I think this is by far the best blessing for her. I frankly don't know if I would use anything else. I think this is kind of the way to go. Interestingly enough, if you can get her to 6-star, you get a little bit of that ignore target resistance when placing poison debuffs. So maybe that's why they haven't given her that boost, on placing poison debuffs where it requires accuracy. Maybe they're thinking, oh, if you have a 6-star lethal dose, she's already ignoring 35% of each target's resistance. And so maybe that's why they're saying, hey, we don't want to give her additional ignore resistance. Now, here's the thing. It's extremely difficult, as we all know, to get 6-star souls for Mythical, because Plarium has gamed the system to make it basically impossible and require massive amounts of money. And they won't put them in the shops because they're greedy. That's just reality. They're very, very greedy. And that's why they won't improve that for us. Will it eventually happen? I'm sure it will. But for now, they're going to milk you for everything you're worth. And unfortunately, you don't get that same benefit of the ignore resistance without having a 6-star soul. So something to be aware of. Par for the course, you know what I mean? That's kind of the Plarium motto. Take as much money as we can, any way we can. But that's neither here nor there. Let's look at the masteries. I've got her in masteries for her damage dealing form here. So I'm kind of splitting the difference between her first form and her second form, but I have gone with Helm Smasher because I do want to see what her max damage potential is. I've also gone with this methodical here to try to boost that A1 damage in the second form, where she's ignoring all those that defense on that multi-hitter. So I feel like this makes a ton of sense. We've gone also with Kill Streak, increase her damage when she kills people. And then we've gone with Support Tree because we need accuracy. Like, we need accuracy to land these debuffs. She doesn't get that bonus, ignore resistance on every skill. So this is pretty important. And then also Master Hexer, a must to extend the duration of the poison debuffs. So you definitely want to have this one on. I've also gone Laura Steel and Cycle of Magic here. And then the standard kind of stuff to boost her accuracy, and Arcane Celerity as well to try to give her turn meter boost whenever those poison debuffs or decrease and weaken expire. So I think this makes the most sense. You could maybe switch it around, but I feel like for this kind of build, this is how I've chosen to go. I would definitely, I think, go support over defense, just based off of needing more accuracy and wanting to make sure you get those benefits out of those poison debuffs. So let's take a look at how we've built her and the different ways that you can. We have 2 builds for you today, or I should say I have 2 builds for you today. The first is the damage build. The thing that they have in common is, of course, pinpoint. Now, what I will be curious to see is this enough pinpoint to get value out of her, right? I've only got 4 pieces of pinpoint here, which means only 1 stack of intercept when placing those poison debuffs in this first form. So I'm going to be interested to see, is this enough pinpoint for her not to live her entire life as a sheep? But we've gone savage and we've gone pinpoint. Let's take a look at the pieces here. Pretty solid stuff. Some of my better gear overall at the moment. Pinpoint is definitely an area of the game where I need better gear for sure. But, you know, savage, we've got some really good stuff, as you can see. I've chosen to build her fast, and you'll see in the final stats, only because I kind of want to live in the meta of today's arena. You could certainly build her less fast because of her passive, but I didn't want to underdo it. And there wasn't a massive difference between building her with like 270 and 290 plus speed, at least with my gear. So here's what we're rolling with. Attack percentages, crit damage, speed, attack, blah, 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 blah. And then we've got attack with an accuracy ascension. And then we've got crit damage, some accuracy, and attack again with attack ascension. And again, you need accuracy for this champ to work in this first form. Those poison debuffs may be unblockable by block debuffs, but they are not irresistible. Just want to make sure I'm not lying about that. You know, I got to remember, trying to remember all this stuff sometimes. Yes, it's not irresistible. So you got to make sure you land those things. What's it all add up to? Well, in her first form, we're looking at 298 speed with a 324% crit damage, only 326 accuracy on the damage dealing version of her. So this might not be enough to land a bunch of poison debuffs. I might need to really push this higher, which of course will affect her damage. But for this first build, at least, I wanted to try to see what we could max out with damage-wise. And then this is the damage form where we're sitting at 7,600 attack, 298 speed, 337% crit damage, and her accuracy drops a little bit to 306. But, you know, that shouldn't matter too much, and she has the irresistible, unblockable, below 50% HP for that true fear. So that's what we're rolling with, guys. We'll see what she does. And again, we got to remember she gets a 5% increase to her HP, attack, and defense for every one of those debuffs that goes out there. So don't want to forget that. Really curious to see if this is enough accuracy in this first form. It very well may not be. We may not be able to make it work. And that's important, because if she's not landing those poison debuffs, she's not getting that speed, whatchamacallit, increase, that turn meter increase, because she has to land the poison. So a little trial and error to see what she can do. Let's take her in a dragon. I think the arena is going to... Why am I in arena? Let's take her in a dragon. Goes right into arena. That's awesome. Let's take her to dragon. Let's see what we got here. And we're going to throw... Let's get our Nell in here. Where's our Nell? A little Nelly. And we're going to get a little Lydia, per usual. As always, we're testing in Dragon 18, so we keep it consistent with all the other videos I've done in my career, my Raid Shadow Legends career. Do I use, I don't have to use our base here. I could certainly use that in Arena. We'll roll with Arbiter. And I'm also going to throw shoes in there just so I can get an opportunity to maybe throw some debuffs out there initially with that first form. And then we don't have to worry about increased attack falling off. So, trying to finagle this to make it work. That works. Okay, cool. Let's give it a go. Let's see what she can do. I'm curious here. Let's test her first and foremost. Let's test her just with her standard stuff. So, well, okay, I've already screwed this up. Never mind. We're going to test her with her debuffs first, is what I meant to say. So we're placing 2 debuffs here and filling turn meter again. So we should get a 10% increase to our attack in the second form. Good Lord. That actually did decent damage given her build, right? This is the damage build. I guess we don't even really need the Lydia here, frankly. We could just use this, but I did want to get an idea of what her second form does. So let's take a look here. All right, this is the AoE. Let's see. AoE damage. Place the True Fear afterwards. How are we hitting? Yeah, I mean, it's nothing special. It's not really fantastic, right? I think that's probably why people aren't super jazzed on her. You're not getting a ton of damage out of there. Certainly less than I would like to see from a mythical. Let's try the A2 without any type of bonus. There's no decreased defense up there, so tough to tell. Let's switch it up. It's definitely not great. You know what I mean? It's not great, given that you've got over 300% crit damage. You just got a 10% boost to her attack and increased attack. For a mythical, I would expect her to hit harder. I'm not going to BS. I would expect her to hit harder in that second form. Let's try this again. This time around, We're going to get this out here from Lydia, so we're not increasing her damage here. And we're just going to switch her right in. Now, we can't get the poison debuffs up, right? Because nobody's buffing or increasing their turn meter or anything fun like that. So we're kind of at the mercy of not being able to do that. But let's try the AA3 again. You know, it's okay. It's not incredible. That hits pretty damn hard, though. That hit really hard. Wow. 433 on that A2. Holy smokes, that hit very hard. I want to see if that's real. Go back. Go back. We're just burning energy, baby. I am the energy burner in Dragon. Let's see that again. That hit really hard. We're just going to A1 with her here. Or should I try to sleep debuff? Yeah, let's just decrease turn meter. There you go. Everyone's asleep, but she's not getting any damage increase because she doesn't have the mastery set up for that. Okay. Switch back in here. Second form. No increase. Slow it down. Nobody's under stun, sleep, freeze, or anything. Fear. Nope. None of that. Let's just take a look here, though. That thing hit really hard. 289. Oh, that was better this go around. Maybe we got a Helm Smasher? Let's go again. One more. I really wish I knew, right? If it would just tell me Helm Smasher. If there were a log here so I could accurately tell you what's going on, what's proccing, what's happening, right? Sadly, that doesn't exist. Maybe 3 years from now, guys. Maybe 3 years. Okay, we get a boosted damage there this go around because we just landed the True Fear. We are boosting her crit damage here also with Shuzen. Still increased attack. Okay, let's try the A1 again, or the A2 again. Let's just see here. Again, double hitter. Still really good, even with that lower hit. 240, 480. Man, so we must have procced Helm Smasher on some of those, though, because that was way worse this go around. So we got the Helm Smash in there, and suddenly she was doing some damage, right? She doesn't have increased attack now, so yeah, we would expect to see lower. Damage dealing Nell, I can understand why people have her rated the way she is, at least based off Dragon. Let's take her into Arena, though, and see if maybe we're being a little harsh. But she's not doing anything incredible in that form. Let's see if we can get someone who's got speed. Here we go. This is great. This is actually perfect. And they have a Siegfried. This is fantastic. We want to lose the speed race. Hopefully not lose overall. We want to lose the speed race. She has an accuracy aura, by the way. Let's see. What do we put her with? I would normally put her with Arbeus to increase her accuracy. I don't want to win the speed race. I could put her with... Let's put her with Galathir. Yeah, let's try this. They should win the speed race. Ooh, we might get locked out here, though. Well, maybe not. Let's see if we land the buffs. Let's see if we can cut in, actually. But if we have no speed aura, are we going to get cooked? This will be a fun test. Let's find out. Let's see how effective this turn meter boost is. We have no speed aura, so we should absolutely be slower. Okay, well, unfortunately, the Yumiko was the fastest champion there, so beep, boop, boop, boop. We did land a couple of poison debuffs. We landed none on Siegfried. So the Stone Skin did appear to block it. So did the Stone Skin for the Torment as well. Let's just test that again, actually. I want to make special note of that. I want to make sure that that I saw that correctly. So let's just test this again. I should have put it in ×1. Do they land before anything comes up? Nope. Stone Skin goes first. So notice that. So if someone has Stone Skin on it, she's basically pointless, at least trying to cut in. So if you're facing all Stone Skin, I mean, again, you wouldn't think that someone would have super fast Stone Skin champions here, but we also can't land debuffs on Yumiko, I believe, because of her passive. So this is honestly a tough team to want to face with Nell. Did we get enough turn meter to go? We have enough turn meter to go. We're obviously locked out. Let's switch her form and see what she does. Now, this is the Feast of Terror. This is the AoE. Place of the True Fear. Was enough to kill the Lazarius. We did get the extra turn because of her passive. That's pretty sick. But unfortunately, we can't really do much here. Love the animation on that A1. I should have tested that. I forgot to. Can't really do much here, of course. Oh, we're about to get cooked by this Siegfried. It's about to get ugly. Hey, weak hit for the win. Weak hit for the win. Oh, she's frozen now. Oh, no. Not like this. That's fine, though. Let's increase. I don't want to kill anyone. Let's maybe land some enfeebles. What? Why didn't his block damage trigger? Did we already trigger it? I'm so confused. I must have missed something. I don't know. I'll have to go back and rewatch that, but I'm kind of surprised. I would have imagined that his block damage would have triggered. Maybe it triggered earlier and I just missed it. That's the only thing I can think of. All right. She's in her second form again. She gets the extra turn because she killed. The extra turn mechanic is sick. I love this passive from that perspective, right? Get wanded, Tormund. We're really prolonging this battle. I want to win this, though, so I don't drop out of platinum. She's frozen again. Good God. Oh, man. Kudos to Chester on making a fun team there. Interesting, though. Interesting, right? Interesting. Damage really wasn't anything special. Now, Shuzhen should be a major problem for us if she uses her A3 instead of her A2. Well, let's try again. Let's take away the Galathir. Let's go with, I don't want to go first. I really don't want to go first. All my other champions are going to be faster, though. Well, maybe not. This is actually pretty fast. Let's try our base, actually. We actually might get outsped here. I'd like to go second, or I'd like to cut in. Oh, okay. Nope. They were set to use the A3. Now, why are we not landing through block debuffs here? The buff went up. Why would we not land? Is it only after the round starts? It's not before the round starts even? That has to be it. It's not before the round starts. Okay, yeah, so it's after the round. So there we go. So we landed it there. But of course she gets creamed by Daddy Siegfried, just absolutely gets blasted. But we saw that when the block damage came in from the Marichka, we saw the debuffs go up. Siegfried, of course, transferred them over. Never fun. Building her for damage definitely doesn't seem super awesome. We can't get her back either, so this is kind of pointless, but let's just see if we can win. I think our luck is run out. Our sweet luck is run out, barring a miracle. Barring Marius popping a miracle here. Enfeeble? Nope. Well, that actually didn't hit as hard as I would have thought. I would have thought that would hit harder. Maybe I just have, hey, there's the enfeeble. Now we're cooking. Maybe I just have, oh God, why can't a nice PTSD with how insane this champion is. Okay, at least there we go. We don't, yep, we got wanded. Nice. That's great. Oh, he almost dies there. Look at how fast this champion is. This is a great example, though. Like, this is your gold standard, best in arena, the guy that messes everybody up. And so when you compare other champions to him, it's always so tough, right? It's always so tough. Had he not switched back there, this would have been a much harder fight. But unfortunately, our girl Nell died pretty quickly there. Let's just see if we can use her as a traditional damage dealer and see how she does. Let's try here. Try her as a traditional damage dealer and see what we get out of our good friend, Nell. Now, we've got multiple opportunities to get rid of Stone Skin. Of course, there's none on these champions, which is interesting. Didn't land the decreased turn meter, which is good. We're just going to A1. We don't want to kill anybody. Enfeeble. Okay. Now, we decrease turn meter with this, but we might make we will make the Marius hit us. So realistically, we're just going to switch her over and hope we don't get enfeebled. Okay, we didn't get enfeebled. Of course, there's enfeeble on him. Pay attention, then I would have known that. Let's try the A2 first. Let's try the A2 against... Yep, and then we just proc the A3. Boom, dead. Not incredible damage, and that wasn't a really strong team. Let's see if we can get someone stronger that doesn't have Marius, ideally, so that we can actually fully test this champion. Here we go. Siegfried, but it's pretty weak. Marius. This works. Tars, Marichka, Galathier. Gonna be... I really want just a speed team that doesn't have Marius, ideally, and unfortunately I cannot find one that does not have Marius. Well, this one works, actually, with Queen of Hearts. This could work. Let's try this. Not super strong. Also has a Marichka there to block... Well, Marichka blocks the poison debuffs. Yeah. This just kind of shows you how hard this is. This maybe is our best bet. We'll go back to this. We'll roll back to the Galathier. Sifi should trigger a lot of this. Let's try here. I just want to see if we can land it. You know, maybe we just don't have enough accuracy on her in this mode as well. Okay, a supersonic kicked in from our warlord who actually went ahead, but we did land a couple of debuffs here, which is great. Not enough to really make it work. Again, people with stone skin just kind of, it doesn't apply, right? But look at that. We landed more debuffs that, of course, get blown away. Let's try stealing some buffs. Looks like there's a lot of protected here, though. I'll try anyway. Oh, God, she's dead again. This is really... Yikes. Come on, Nell. Come on, man. Oh, my goodness. She's still on the ground, guys. She's a corpse on the ground, man. She doesn't even want to come back. Good God. I can't. Okay, she's back now. She's back now. She was playing around. She's just playing around. She's just having a little bit of fun. She's having a fun. All right, let's switch her form. Switch her form. There you go. Yeah, kill him. The damage is really not incredible on the second form. Definitely nothing to write home about. I think this is why people don't like this champion. Building her for damage is not working great right now. Let me just see if I can figure out something here. I'm just going to completely ignore any kind of poison debuffs or stuff like that. And let's just see if we can actually make her do something. You know, let's just see if we can make her do something here. Let's take out... They've got an Odin. I don't want to use Marius because Marius is the damage. You know what I mean? Put Empress. I think actually I took stuff off Empress, so I couldn't put him here to strip Stone's Gate at the moment. We'll try Odin Shuzen. Make sure we win the speed race. Why am I blind? Where is Odin? Here it is. Okay, he's chilling down there. Odin Shuzen, and who else can I strip with? Who else could be my stripper? We can honestly just use... Oh, there's a Marius here, so I actually don't want to do that. Actually, let's just put Galathier in here. Let's put Galathier back in. So we can get rid of... We'll use Odin as the stripper. Okay. Let's see if we can make her work as just solely a damage dealer. And hey, look, no stones can accept on our buddy Marius, of course. Now, if she can't kill things with this kind of setup, with decreased defense on everybody, then she truly is god-awful. Especially with the bonus damage of the stuns. Let's just see how this works. There we go. We get the 100% bonus damage. Now we're doing some damage for the decreased defense. Still, overall, kind of tough to use. Let's try over here. Do we land? And again, the fact that you don't get it off of the start, kind of a bummer, right? Like, she doesn't land any of her debuffs at the start. So anything that's placed at the start of a round doesn't matter. You know, it's not until champions take turns that she starts to see any type of benefit. Really a bummer. Oh, my Lord. Good, sweet Christ. That did not work out well for us. Yeah, she's, I think she's cooked, guys. I think she's cooked. Okay, maybe not. Maybe she still lives, but she's not going to live actually the next form. He's just going to blast her into oblivion. Oh, no. Let's try filling the turn meter of everybody. Yeah, just stay alive. That actually did insane damage. What the heck? it wasn't enough for us to do anything. You got to hand it to fucks with that incredible Marius build, built for damage. I don't know, guys. I'm not. I mean, like, I'm not feeling the damage version of this. Let's test her against the Taurus Marichka. She's not really getting me going, at least built in damage. Empress. Let's try Taurus Marichka here. We'll switch her build after this and just see if it makes any impact on her, like being the kind of, not the speed lead, because she doesn't have a speed aura, but at least playing that role of cutting in. We can find a team where she can cut in. This will also be interesting to see, can she do damage? Can she do enough damage to a Taurus to kill him, right? I could just drop this right now and boost the turn meter, but we already full sold on this. So let's just switch forms. Let's switch forms. We're not getting the added benefit of any type of buffs because we're going first. Let's just see here. She should be able to easily kill this Odin, though. She triggers the A3 here. There we go. Not bad. Now we're talking. Everybody pops back up. Switch forms, stun. Can't do any damage here, the block damage, but we'll just throw up the True Fear. Okay. We're starting to see some signs of life. We're starting to see some signs of life, but unfortunately, you know, in order to get them, you're having to get Odin up there to strip buffs and get decreased defense, right? There are lots of nukers out there that just don't even need it anymore. They'll just kill everybody. Siegfried's a great example, especially with mythicals, where you don't need any decreased defense in order to maximize damage. They'll just go in there and they'll just dominate. Here we go. Let's try this. Let's try this. This would be a fantastic one. Let's see if we can make it work damage-wise or cut-in-wise. So we're going to try to get her to cut in and go slow again because we have a Galathir, we have a Marichka. Imagine they're built fast. Let's find out. We'll put a Siegfried in here just to help res. And we'll put a Marichka of our own. How about that? I'm probably going to end up being faster, though. Well, we'll see. If anything, she can get back around. But Stoneskin, so we have Stoneskin up. This would actually be a great test. So Stoneskin should block all of her buffs. Right? I'm not going to do anything. We're just going to chill. Okay. Block damage goes up because the Marichka. Only get it on the nice. Only get it on the nice. But now she does take a turn. She still has her pinpoint. Let's see if she can steal some stuff. Dude, popping those poison debuffs is no joke. And she stole everything. Holy hell. Oh, man. Yeah, I see. Okay. I'm definitely seeing the value now. I think this ignores his passive. She even stole the damn Stoneskin. Holy smokes. Let's just try. Does it ignore his passive? It'll kill him anyway in the second form. Passive doesn't even matter. Okay. Okay. We're seeing here this first form doing a little bit of work. Look at that. Throwing up even with the block debuffs. Getting some out there, right? Let's just keep her in the first form. Or actually, no. Let's switch her into her damage form now. Or do we keep her in here and try to fill turn meter and strip? No. Let's switch her over. Let's switch her over. Let's try to A3. Beautiful. Hit the wrong guy. I want her to stay alive, but she's going to die to the nice here. So let's just nuke. Well, she's going to die to the nice anyway. Can we get her faster? I don't want. Oh, no. Now he's going to lock out. Oh, no. Block active skills. Well, how much damage does she do with that A1? Ooh! Look at the A1! The A1 cut through him like butter through butter through a knife, like a knife through butter. A1 cooked there. A1 cooked. You see that damage? That wasn't bad at all. We're still gonna lose, but you know, still, that was great. Okay, do the dang thing now. Oh, he had the block damage again. How did he get it back so quick? Why? At least he has the true fear. Damn, man. If she had something to let her ignore block damage or whatever, like nice, then we'd really be kind of cooking here. We're destroying the max HP. I think we're still going to lose this. Maybe not, though. Maybe not. Hold on. Dead. Gets the extra turn. Ah, there's so much potential with this damage mode. Okay, I see the potential here. I see the potential. We're going to switch her to our other build. Let's just quickly talk about this. I see the potential. I still think she does too little damage in the second form. I think she needs a damage boost. It's like tough to say. The problem is the meta is all champions that kind of block her abilities. And Stone Skin coming in there. I already off the bat, there are a couple things I would change with her, even before we switch her. In that in this first form, I really wish, if you wanted to really make her damn good and part of the meta, she should be throwing up these, you know, these poison debuffs right at the start of the round. At the start of the round, suddenly she's really good. If this was something that as soon as the round started and people were throwing up their debuffs, or excuse me, their buffs, and she's coming in and she's dropping poison, suddenly she is phenomenal. But she doesn't do that. You know, she doesn't work that way, which is such a shame because she would be incredible if she worked like that. Maybe broken. Tough to say. Maybe she would be broken, especially because she's ignoring block debuffs here. But Stone Skin, any kind of like start of the round stuff, just completely negates her ability to do this stuff. So you can see her being a really good live arena speed comp potential, dominator. That's really what she's meant to be. Her damage in the second form is nothing to write home about overall, in my opinion. I think she does need some type of a damage boof. What is wrong with me? A damage boost of some sort in this form in order to kind of make it worthwhile, because this is not easy necessarily to get this increase here. And even with it, it doesn't seem like she hits super hard. That A1 was great. I like that. I love this passive in that she can take an extra turn. I just think she's lacking damage in these abilities relative to some of the other better mythicals that are out there now. So that would be one way to quickly fix her. But let's test her in the other form, in the other build that I've got with her, which is just a straight up pinpoint, just 6-piece pinpoint. Yeah, let's go. 1.5 million is rough right now. Hold on. I'm pretty low on silver at the moment. So 6-piece pinpoint. Let's just test her in that and see what she does. Here's the build. 351 speed, 500 accuracy. We're still keeping the same masteries, so you could go Eagle Eye if you were doing this, of course, if you were looking to use her more as support. I think she's going to end up being better in live arena in this build, frankly, because you have more control over the champion choices that you're going against. And this is candidly like if you're going against a full speed team, like full speed in live arena. So think Arbaeus, Shuzen, Arbiter, you know what I mean? Like even potentially Galathyr, people where you know they're built fast, not in Stone Skin. That's where she kind of comes into play. And we saw a little bit in that last fight where she actually had some viability there. It's just so tough in Classic Arena to get that kind of team. This is probably our best bet. We could keep this, honestly. I think we can actually keep this and just see how she cuts in. So she's in the pinpoint build here. We'll see if we go second. I believe we will. We will not. Okay. Well, shoot. Okay, there we go. The poison comes out, but the block debuff of Marichka, this is where you kind of get cooked, right? You get cooked in this form because of that ability of not being able to ban the Marichka. This champion is absolutely going to be better in live arena than she will be in anything else. That is a guarantee. Can 100% guarantee you that, where she is definitely not going to hit her potential in Classic Arena because you cannot control people putting Marichka in or putting other champions. I don't even know. I'm not going to play this out. Well, there's no point. There's no point. Let's just get another battle. See if we can find anyone that doesn't have a Marichka that's going to be fast. So many Marichkas. Marichka, Marius, both problems for this champion. All right, we should be slower here. Just put a Crixie in. I'm just going to take the Galathier out entirely and just see if we can cut in. We absolutely will be slower now. I can guarantee that. Okay, awesome. We cut right in. This is what I'm talking about. Cut right in. We've got the poison debuffs up. So now we can steal and instantly activate all of these buffs, right? Now we're going to trigger the Marius here, which kind of sucks. But you see we cut right in, which is great. Stole everything, though. We stole the Stone Skate and everything. Nice is just such a monster, though. My God. They stole it back. We're wanding them. Everyone's getting wanded. Nobody knows what's happening. Look at that. There you go. That's the real selling point right there. See that? Galathier does his thing, but it doesn't matter because she ignores those block debuffs. This fills the turn meter in priest in. It's not going to matter. It's not going to help us. They've got block debuffs up for this. Really slow animation here. Really extremely slow. Good Lord. This Nice is a freaking tank. This Nice is a tank. My God. Dude is not taking any damage at all. Switches. He should die here, though, right? Dies immediately. Switches. Should die again. Or close because of that lethal dose. Okay. I definitely see the potential now. I definitely see the potential for sure. This champion, as currently constructed, definitely far better for Live Arena. 100% guarantee that. Guarantee better for Live Arena. Steals all the buffs again. Now, we know that Stone Skin doesn't get any kind of protection, so it's not anything special, but still, I see the vision. I see how this champion could be legitimately fantastic in Live Arena, in this build. In the I'm going to cut in, I'm going to mess you up because you have so much control over the other champions that you're facing, right? That's a good team. That's a good team we just beat here. Any other Marichka teams, non-Marichka? See if we can get another Galathier team that doesn't have Marichka in it. Galathier, no Marichka. Shuzen. If Shuzen's goes A1, we're going to get cooked. But let's just try. Let's just try here. Oh, didn't have enough speed to cut in. Interesting. Didn't have enough speed to cut in there. She's built decently fast, but this is an Odin, so, no surprise in some ways, right? Let's just see if we can get her back. Everyone's getting sheeped. No one knows what's going on. This is great. All right, let's steal some debuffs. Or steal some buffs, I mean. Yeah, look at that. Look at the steal. Oh, my goodness. Look at the steal. This is an attack. Triggers that. We get lots more poisons up, which is big. I believe he dies. Not to the block damage, I should say, unfortunately. I was going to say even to the block damage, but it doesn't work that way. But it will work that way if we strip the damage, which we didn't. Lightning Cage. Yep. Tough. Tough. It's so tough to make it work. So tough. But still, you get the point. You get the point. Yeah, kill him, Siegfried. Do your job. Put her down. Siegfried's missing his gear, by the way. I took some gear off of him for this test. So that's why he's not critting and doing damage. I forgot that until right now. Okay. Listen, here are my thoughts. Here are my thoughts. Is Nell underrated? Maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit. but only if you're looking to build that first form. I do not think, as of right now, that she is the best opportunity, or the best champion, I should say, for this second form for a damage type build. She just doesn't have enough spice compared to some of the other high-end champions that are out there. And again, this is relative. This is me talking about specifically mythicals and other champions that are out there that are like the best of the best, right? You know, if you're a low spender, if you're free to play, of course, Nell is going to be fantastic for you as a damage dealer. You're going to be completely happy with that. But we're talking ultra endgame perception of what I would run into in arena. And I don't think in an attack build that she gets the most value. But I will say this, now having used her, in live arena, in a pinpoint build where you are stealing, where you're focusing on stealing buffs and interrupting people's turn meter by cutting in, she absolutely has value. She absolutely has value against specific teams. Is she the champion to pick when you're going against a slower team that's built in stone skin? Absolutely not. Like 100% not the call, not what she's for. I think you would most likely get in trouble there. I'd say most likely because you can still do some nasty stuff landing these poison debuffs against Galathier, and she is one of the better things to go after Galathier with if someone has built a fast Galathier, right? And if they don't have an Odin to put up block damage, and if they don't have a Marichka to put up block damage, which again, you can control some of that in live arena, which is why I think she shines significantly more in that mode, or will shine more in that mode than she does in classic arena. So here's my final judgment. Build her in pinpoint, build her fast, build her with lots of accuracy, let her cut in. She doesn't have to be a 440 speed champion to potentially cut in, but you still need some speed on there, because if someone has an Odin or other things, they're going to outspeed you unless you're really fast anyway. But build her for this first form. And if you build her for the first form and you're in specifically live arena, now she kind of does some nasty stuff. Stealing everybody's buffs is big. Putting up poison buffs and having lethal dose come in there and burn people to the ground is really big. But you have to take advantage of team comp in order to make her really work, because there are quite a few counters to what she does. And really, she's only going to shine against those extreme speed teams like I talked about. Shuzan, Arbiter, Galathier, lots of speed coming in there. I think that's where she really stands out, and specifically in live arena. So overall, she certainly is better than I thought, without a doubt. Absolutely better in this first form than I would have given her credit for. Definitely nothing special in the second form. Tracks with exactly what I think, which is kind of a bummer because this form looks so cool and has so much potential. I think she needs a little bit more excitement in this second form, or some type of better link with the first form. I do kind of wish that she would place her debuffs when people place their buffs at the start of a round. Stone Skin would still hypothetically take care of that, so it would still serve as a counter, but then she would absolutely get her cut in, and on top of that, do damage throwing those buffs up, those poison debuffs up, right off the bat. That is, to me, is a shame that her kit doesn't work that way. I don't think it would make her broken. The more I think about it, I think it would make her damn good, though. And that's kind of a missed opportunity. So that's something I wish they would change. If she did this at the start of a round, placing these poison debuffs, now she's legitimately one of the best champions in the game in this first form against certain teams. Like, not even debatable. But she doesn't have that. You have to wait till people take a turn, which is still really good, and she can still cut in, but she misses a little bit of that ultimate ability. So if you were to pull Nell from a shard, would you be upset? Depends on where you are as a spender. I would 1,000,000% rather have Nice. It's not even a question. I would rather have a bunch of different champions over Nell. I'd rather have Galathier. I'd rather have Siegfried. I'd rather have Lazarius. I would rather have, even knowing what I know now, other champions more than her for sure. So in the pecking order of mythicals, I don't think she's at the top. I think she's somewhere in the middle because she is so niche against the teams that she's going to really see benefit. But I think she's a better live arena champion than she is classic arena. And certainly a better, maybe even Siege potentially on defense. You could get some use out of her trying to counter speed teams in certain builds. That might be also a way to use her as well. Like where maybe she serves a little bit better in that kind of arena where you're building her more in stone skin pinpoint and just leaning into that. So that might be the other way to take advantage, right? But but you can't control what people pick against you in those areas. And for that reason, I do think live arena is where you would see her shine. So overall, better than I thought. Certainly in first form. Definitely not a champion that gets me ultra super excited. But I could see how this first form could be nasty against certain comps and could completely screw you up and mess you up in live arena if you don't have like someone like a Marichka or somebody else to try to counter this stuff. So certainly surprised me in that regard. That first form is legit. First form is legit. Not as legit as I want, but definitely legit. So anyway, guys, what do you think? Do you agree with me? Do you think she maybe surprised you a little bit? Is she a little underwhelming? I'm curious to hear what you guys think. You know, do you think maybe her damage dealing needs an upgrade, or maybe you disagree with me? Maybe you think she's great where she is right now. I welcome all opinions. So let me know in the comments down below if you enjoyed this video, the showcase of Nell. Like and subscribe as always, and I will see you all soon. Big Papa Drock, out!